back. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Built for Jeepin'. I took a couple weeks off. Sorry. Got busy, work-related things. Took a week off, went to Gatlinburg with my dad. Fun times. Needed a little rest and relaxation. Technically speaking, I'm actually off this week too. Which means we're going to be producing some stuff while I'm maintaining children. As best I can. So, what are we doing today? Today, we're talking maintenance schedules. I'm not doing any work on it today. I don't have anything prepared to work on right now. So we're going to talk about maintenance schedules. One of the biggest issues that we have in the Jeeping community is not maintaining our fluids properly. Okay? So, rule number one, follow your manufacturer's scheduled fluid changes. Should be in your manual. It'll tell you exactly what it is. Now, if you're like me, old Jeep, you don't have that anymore. And you can go by the Chiltons and the Haynes manuals and look it up online and everything, but we're just going to consolidate it all down right here, right now. Let's simplify it to the most basic information possible that's going to keep your vehicle running in great shape. Oil. Let's start there. If you want to use synthetic or dyno, all traditional conventional oil, you can. Either one will be fine. There's a lot of speculation that if you have been using the conventional oil over a long period of time, that it opens up seals and it makes it leak. Not necessarily, folks. There's a lot of misinformation that has been put out there. I personally have switched all of my vehicles to synthetic. The original 2.5 liter 4-cylinder started with conventional just to clean everything out, and then I moved to synthetic. Now, I didn't put a whole lot of miles on that one, granted. But my old red Cherokee started conventional to clean it out, went synthetic, and I drove that dude for over 100,000 miles. I had one leak, and it was the rear main seal, and that's the only leak I ever had. Valve cover gaskets never leaked. Any other seals never leaked. It was fantastic, okay? The other Cherokee, I've gone 7, 8, 9 oil changes, something like that, maybe a little bit more. They're all synthetic. Not a drop of oil leaks out of that. Not a drop. Synthetic does not cause leakage. Poor maintenance on your seals causes leakage. Remember that. If your seals are old, they probably need to be replaced. Rear main seals are very common on the 4.0. And it's because they were dumb and made it a 2-part design. You have to take the rear cap off of the main bearing, push it out with something, and then push it out through the top of the block with something, and then feed the 2 new pieces in. And if you don't put them in the right way, it's going to leak right off the bat. I've done it a couple of times, and I got it wrong. It's easy to do. One of those things where you just got to take your time, pay attention. I know now how to put it in. Maybe we'll do that, but it's not leaking. I'm not going to just do it just to do it. But that was a poor seal, and that's one of the leaks that I had. That's the only reason it leaked. This one, it doesn't leak a drop. It's finito. Actually, I take that back. The oil pressure sensor failed, and it leaked into the connector. That leaked, but I fixed that already, so it's done. So back to what we were talking about before I got on a sidebar. Conventional or synthetic, it doesn't matter. Conventional, 3,000 miles. Synthetic, 5,000 miles. That's all I ever do. I never go more than that. Why? Well, because unfortunately, bucket in the way. Because unfortunately, they do wear out. Not the viscosity, the detergents that cleans your engine and keeps it in good, clean order inside. That's why if you see an old engine, you take it apart and it's got all this sludge in it, they didn't change their oil. The detergents didn't clean it and didn't maintain it, and therefore it turned to sludge. all the carbon deposits and everything else that gets into the oil just, bleh. It's there, it's gross, it's dirty, okay? Oil, 3,000 for conventional, 5,000 for synthetic. Now our minivan, I literally just changed the oil this morning, which gave me the idea for this video. That dude is 10,000 miles, I do believe. I never actually did the math, but I'm pretty sure it's 10,000 miles is what that thing says. I just follow the maintenance schedule on that. I think it's a little bit too long, but the manufacturer said that's what we should do, so that's what I'm doing. They built the engine. Let's listen to them a little bit. This engine, I will go to synthetic and maximum 5,000 miles. But here's the rub. They say that the detergents do age over time, even not in use. So, they say 3 months, 3,000 miles, or 5 months, 5,000 miles. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to meet the mileage, so that's probably what I'm going to have to look at. 5,000 miles or 5 months. We'll see. Coolant. Your coolant is different per color, and in most cases, if you have a coolant that is the orange or the pink or the gold or whatever colors there are, purple, those are going to have a certain interval, and it's going to be written on top of your coolant box. You know, change it every so often, or your manual's going to have it in there. Most older vehicles, green, okay? The XJ, green. Van, orange. Weird. So, your green coolant should be changed out every 2 years. Dead stop. Every 2 years you need to change that out. Why? Well, unfortunately, it's going to corrode and damage the internals of the engine itself. And the reason why there is different makeups and different colors is because that coolant has different additives and minerals and things like that on the inside of it that work with that metallurgy of the engine block. A lot of information right there. This engine is a 1997 out of a Silverado. Maybe 96. But 1996, 1997, they still called for green. When they went to the 5.3, it's not green anymore because the metallurgy of the block itself changed. The sizing of the block itself changed. It all changed. And if you sit there and let that coolant continue working through that engine, you're just going to continue to wear down that metal. And that's why when you do eventually change it, or it's really, really old, instead of being green, it's brown. Why is it brown? That's called rust. It's an iron block. Aluminum heads, I do believe. Don't quote me on that. I think the Vortec heads are aluminum. I can't remember for sure. They might be iron. They're iron. Looking at it, it's iron. Yes. Don't quote me on that one. But either way, the block itself I know is an iron block. Iron blocks produce rust. And if you don't have the proper coolant, it doesn't protect it from rusting. It lets it break down, therefore it rusts. And your coolant, after so long, is brown. The Cherokee, I actually had to change the coolant because I redid the water pump. So I flushed it all out and did it when I first got it. It was brown. It was green for about 3 months and then it was brown. Why? Because the coolant was already in there and made it disgusting. And when I flushed it, I could have flushed it out for 3 months and it would still have some of that breakdown in it. Bucket. So because that breakdown is already in there, it's going to take a little bit to clean it all out. I'm going to change it here soon. I've had it for about 2 years now, so it's due. We're going to change it all out. Flush out the whole system. Now when you flush it out, you're supposed to use distilled water. Because distilled water is less likely to cause breakdown. There's less minerals and things like that in it. Most people don't use that. They use a garden hose. And I might have been one of those people as well. Is that the right way? No. But what you can do is you can put a vacuum on it in reverse and blow the coolant out and the water out as best as you can, which is what I did. So you can use an air hose too, but the vacuum works really well because it's low pressure. It's not going to, it's not going to be quite so strong. Okay, off of coolant. Let's move on to power steering, clutch, and brake fluid. They all have the same interval, 30,000 miles. How often do you actually change yours? Exactly. Brake fluid's cheap, and it's so simple. So simple. You want to maintain good quality brakes. That's what makes your vehicle stop. Get yourself a little pivot. Change it out inside of the actual master cylinder. Do the same thing with your clutch and same thing with your power steering. Easy peasy lemon squeeze. You can use a turkey baster, just one of the big ones. Okay? So it's easy to change out. The little bit that's in the lines is not a big deal. Change out what is in the master cylinder for your brakes, the master cylinder for your clutch, and your reservoir for your power steering right down there. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, okay? That's just gonna keep everything in good shape. The little bit that's in the lines or in the steering box or in the clutch itself or in the lines to the brakes and the master cylinder or the slave cylinders and everything down there, it's not a big deal. That little bit's not a big deal. If you really want to be thorough, bleed your brakes, bleed your clutch, bleed your power steering. You can absolutely do that. And what you'll find in about 10 to 15 seconds of bleeding, it's going to be clear fluids. That tells you how little is actually in the lines, in the cylinders, and everything else, okay? I have never had an issue just by changing the fluids in the master cylinder for the clutch, master cylinder for the brake, and in the reservoir for your power steering. Cool. Let's move on. Transfer case. I want you all to put in the comments, how often have you actually changed the fluid in your transfer case? I can tell you now, it's not very high. Your transfer case is 30 to 60,000 miles. What does that depend on? That depends on a few things. What kind of driving type do you have? Do you have a fast, a slow? How often are you going into four-wheel drive and going off-road? Because that's more abusive than just leaving it in two-wheel drive and going on the road. My Cherokee, it sees mostly road. There's very little off-road trail for that one. It's going to be on the 60,000 side. If I'm taking it off-road all the time, 30,000 side. Okay? And most of them are just ATF. Basic old ATF. Super simple, super cheap. Just change the fluid. You take the bottom nut, break it off. Take the top nut, break it off. Easy. It is so simple to change that out. You let it drain for a couple of minutes, let all the fluid get out, close the bottom one, pour the top one in until it starts to seep out. Easy. So easy. Okay? Change your transfer case fluid. Your transmission is the same interval if it is a manual transmission. Manual transmission is 30 to 60,000. Again, depends on how you drive, depends on what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Automatic transmissions. Automatic transmissions are a little different. 60 to 100,000 miles. Again, depends on how you drive. But here's the cool thing about an automatic. If you pay attention to what it's doing, how it's shifting, how quick it's shifting, how hard it's shifting, how slow it's shifting, you will notice when you need to change it. Be in tune with your vehicle. If you're going to drive it, drive it. Pay attention to it. Pay attention to your vehicle. It will tell you what it needs. Okay? 30 to 60,000 miles. Sorry, 60 to 100,000 miles for your transmission. Now, there are some out there, such as Toyota, lifetime transmission fluid. Do I agree with that? No. What are they doing? Well, they're saying it's a lifetime transmission fluid because they don't want you to change it so that if it goes out, then all of a sudden you have to change the transmission itself. Think about that. Car companies are not in the business of taking care of us anymore. They're in the business of making money. So if Toyota wants to go ahead and make it a lifetime fluid interval, transmission dies, they need to replace it. That's on them. They said it's lifetime, right? Now, that being said, a good friend of mine has a Toyota. It's a Tundra, and it has that lifetime transmission fluid. He hasn't had any issues and he's got quite a few miles on it. So, is it true that you could possibly go lifetime? Yes, absolutely. Depends on how you drive. Depends on what you do. Depends on if you beat on your vehicle or not. His tows a vehicle or tows a trailer, so he's kind of heavy on it. It's still doing good. Time will tell if I am right or wrong. But either way, if the fluid fails, your transmission is tostado. Because they're not going to change it. They're just going to change the transmission itself. They're not going to change fluid. It's lifetime fluid. Why would we do that? That counteracts what they're saying, right? Right. Okay, moving on. Diff fluid. Front and rear diff are the same interval, 30 to 60,000 miles. Okay, so you have your transmission, manual, transfer case, and diff fluid are at the same interval. Make a day of it. That's what I did. Changed my transmission, changed my transfer case, and changed my diff fluid. I had it all done in 3 hours. Why? How? Multiple pans, letting one drain, moving on to the next drain, and then moving on to the next drain, and moving on to the next drain. And after those are all drained, boom, you move up to filling them back up, closing them up and fill them up. It's not hard. You can do this stuff yourself. It is so easy, and it's going to be cheaper than going somewhere else. Now the diff, a little more to it than just cracking a couple of bolts and draining it and then filling it back up and closing it back up. A little bit more difficult. You have your diff housing itself with the cover. You got to take the cover off. The cover's going to have silicone sealant on it. If you're lucky, the person before you put on a lube blocker, which is a pre-made gasket that goes around it. But either way, it is simple to do. You remove the old silicone gasket, clean it up, make sure it's nice and smooth, don't gouge the metal. Make sure you use brake fluid, clean all the old stuff out. Okay, you got to get all the old out to put the new in. Once it's all out, you use your RTV or a new lube blocker gasket all the way around your diff cover, surrounding the bolts. You put it up there, put a top bolt in, put a bottom bolt in, corner, and just kind of go around and make a circle out of it and a star out of it and all the fun things. Hand tighten. Let it sit for an hour. Move to the back, do the same thing. Let it sit for an hour. Then you can torque it down. Now, depending on the RTV gasket you use, you can go ahead and put it in right away. Not all of them are like that. Some of them need to cure for 24 hours. Those are a pain in the butt. Nobody's got that kind of time. I got things to do. This one I could do that with, not that one. I got work to do. I got places to be, people to see. So what do? I get the RTV that is the 1 minute gasket. Now, this one is not the right one. This one is meant for something else. Can't remember. Either way. High temperature applications. 1 minute gasket. Literally, you can fill this, go around your diff cover, all the way around it. 1 minute later, it's ready to go. That's it. You got to work fast with it, though. You can't just be lollygagging around, going slow. So, I had that because I had to do the water pump on the Cherokee real fast, and I couldn't wait for it. So I put a thin layer of that on my gasket, which I always do for the water pump, put it on there, torqued it down immediately, filled it up immediately, good to go. So if you want to spend a little extra money for speed, do it. If you want to take your time, you can use the black or the gray RTV around those diff bolts, or diff cover bolt areas. That's what I was trying to say. And you can let it set, torque it down properly, and then let it set for the 24 hours. You can absolutely do that if that's what you want to do. Just be mindful it's going to take a while. And if it's your trail rig or something like that, that's okay. You're not going out that day anyway. Now, all of these intervals, like I said, they depend on how you drive and such like that. Here is one situation that you need to do it much, much sooner. And there's so many of our Jeeping community that don't. And this is where the failures come in that makes Jeep look bad. Because new people that are going off-road that don't understand think, oh, it's a Jeep, it can go off-road and go through anything. Run right through a big old mud puddle, covered all the way up to the doors. What does that cover up? Your axles transfer case, and transmission. Those fluids, if they mix with water, are going to destroy those parts. Diff covers, or differentials mainly. There's a breather tube that goes from the differential up higher into the vehicle so that they can breathe. But if you submerge that dude in water, it's just a rubber hose over it. And even if you clamp it, there's still a chance that you're going up above a little bit higher and you can get that fluid into your breather tube. Water and oil don't mix. So all of a sudden you have this transmission, transfer case, or diff that has water in it, and it creates that wonderful milkshake, and it burns it up because the fluid is not able to properly work because water and oil don't mix. So if you are constantly going through water crossings, you need to change that fluid sooner than later. What I normally recommend is if you are a constant water crosser, when you get done with your trail, crack it open, do it again. It's going to cost a lot, but that is the cost of going off-road. Going off-road is not a cheap hobby. I know. This is a fun vehicle. I barely have gotten to drive it yet because it's not done yet, because it's expensive to do all this work. So when it comes down to it, can I absolutely take it off-road and go through water crossings? Yes. Am I going to ruin it if I get all the components soaked with water? Yes. So when we're taking the vehicles off-road, there is going to be more fluid changes and maintenance intervals to do. So, take your pick. Do one this weekend. Change your oil. It's easy. Change your diff. It's easy. Takes a little time. Change your transmission. Change your transfer case. Or you can do what I did. I had a Saturday and I did my transfer case, transmission, and diff fluid all in the same one. And I actually probably did the oil too. I did the oil in the van this morning and I'm chilled and relaxed, and I did it in 45 minutes. In 45 minutes only because I had to drive it from the house over to the barn, set everything up, put the vehicle up on the ramps, drain it, let it drain good because it's not completely warm, which you want to have it warmer, and then just keep going. It's not hard to do, and you'll be amazed at the results that you get and the longevity of your vehicle. I know some people that are religious about those, and they take their vehicle off-road all the time, and guess what? It still runs just as good as the day they bought it, because maintenance is key to longevity of your vehicle. So when we look at all these Jeeps and people saying, oh, this broke, this broke, this broke, okay, what are you doing with it? Are you maintaining it? Are you doing what you're supposed to, or are you just going out and abusing it in the woods and expecting it to do good because it's built that way? What are you doing? That's the key. If these people are maintaining their vehicle and they're still having issues, yeah, that's a problem. But if they're going out there beating on it off-road and not maintaining the fluids and changing them properly and making sure there's no water in the diff, the transmission transfer case from when they went through that big old mud puddle and sat there and going back and forth because they got stuck because they didn't have the right tires, and they bought all the stuff on Amazon that said it was awesome and it was doing great, and the rough country lift is now lifted it up nice and tall, but there's no flex to it because it's rigid as a bandwagon. Don't buy parts and expect them to do fantastic when they're super cheap. Don't think that your off-road vehicle is fantastic because it's an off-road vehicle. You still have to do the work. And if you're not willing to do the work, don't take it off-road. Simple as that. So, I hope you enjoyed my soapbox rant. That kind of opens up something new that I'm going to be doing, some shorts and things like that, and it's going to be binding my bearings. A little ranting going on about, just miscellaneous things. First one's going to be about dang headlights. Oh my gosh, it's getting dark outside. Headlights are a problem. People are a problem. We're going to have a little, what binds my bearings rant going on here soon. So expect those shorts to come out. Those are going to be funny. I I like that idea. You know, going out there and binds my bearings. It made me chuckle when I came up with that. So expect those to come out soon. That's enough on my soapbox rant about fluids and maintenance schedules and things like that. And if you have any comments, put them down there. Like, subscribe, do all the things. Aiden's going to tell you that at the end. Later, taters.
Make sure to like and subscribe.